Hi there, greetings and salutations. My name is Jake Query. That is Derek Schultz, who is dressed like a mime today. And this is the incredibly creatively and appropriately named Query and Schultz program on the ISC Sports Network. And Derek, this is episode number
220.
Is it really?
7, 6?
No, we're not at 227
226?
yet. We'd have that's like a sitcom. 227.
226? 226 from Vince. So take it with a grain of salt. We might be 227. We'll verify.
That's kind of hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, we've been August of 20, so 4.5 years now.
Deep sigh.
At this point.
Well,
Well,
okay, by the way,
that's what it is.
a big part of why we've been able to do this for that long, and we are well aware of it and very appreciative of it, is the great folks that are on board with us that sponsor this show. And we want to thank them because we probably don't do enough to thank them on a regular basis. Bailey and Wood has been spectacular. And Mike Wood and that group, in terms of not only getting people the best mortgage rates throughout central Indiana and starting out in southern Indianapolis, but expanding beyond that, but also just having great people that are giving back to communities and helping out folks and building relationships, which is what you want. And Bailey Wood's been great to us, and we thank and we are proud to have them represent their brand. Hoagies and Hops, I thought about during the NFL Combine, which we're going to talk about.
Yep.
Nick Sirianni still, I don't think, has made his way in there, which is moronic. Because he's a Philly guy and, he lives in Indy. He's familiar with it. I told him about it. I saw Christina had posted at one point that I had mentioned to Nick Sirianni publicly that he needs to go to Hoagies and Hops, which he does need to do. But Hoagies and Hops is fantastic, and their partner right next door, Chili Water. Both have been really, really good to us. And the best sandwiches that you're going to find and a cold beer on draft right there, 42nd and
42nd and Boulevard, southwestern edge of Midtown.
Chateau Kitchens has put together unbelievable rooms throughout Derek's house. I've not seen any of them. That's by design, only in picture. And then I see pictures of him shirtless when he's showing it off, and so I try not to look too hard into that. Yeah, no.
The best.
But they do great work, Chateau Kitchens, and they've been great to us as well. If you would like to sponsor this show, we're always looking for new sponsors, by the way. Derek, they can get a hold of you in what way?
Derek at queryandschultz.com.
Very easy.
Derek at queryandschultz.com, or you could tweet me. At Schultz975. I don't give out my phone number on the air like my co-host. Or you can come over to Midtown and see me, shirtless mowing the lawn. Stop me. Say, I really want to sponsor that right there.
If you were shirtless mowing the lawn, that's a lawn that needs to be mowed, by the way. Just so
Yeah, it's funny you ask. I trim this every 4 months or so because it gets a little my winter coat comes in. So around late October, early November, like right around Halloween, my winter coat comes in, so I trim this down a little bit. And I think that's the last time that I did it. But now that spring is springing, once spring has sprung,
you're done, right?
I want to make sure that I get this going. I usually set the razor to about 6, but I have to go the hairs grow in all directions, and I got to go kind of all the way down the happy trail as well. So all the way down here. Yeah. Jake, it's a show for guys. I know we have female listeners as well, Hi Gritty, and some of the others. It's a show for guys. We talk about guy sports news, guy issues, guy health. This is all everybody watching. We're all adults. Everybody watching has to groom, right? Problem for me is that my ear hair is going crazy now. I have to trim that once a week. Where I got the nose thing a while ago because I've always had nose hair growth. But I've had to start doing once a week. It turns into the forest of Endor coming out of my ear canal. It's awful. It's just part of getting old.
The NFL Combine is wrapped up in Indianapolis. I think it's wrapped up, right?
God, I hope so. I really hope so. It's become an event that I've just become increasingly annoyed by.
Okay, I'm going to give you one area where I'm skeptical.
Okay.
I hope it's correct, but I saw a number that 30,000 people attended the Combine. Is that right?
Over the course of the 4 days, attended the little, they have the setup where the kids can play, and then you can go
don't get me wrong,
and,
it's a huge moneymaker for the city because the scouts and the play. I mean, the number of people that have to come to work it is astronomical, so that's cool. But in terms of the number of people that are coming to the Combine, just to take it in, I'm a little more.
Well, I mean, you got to give me a number that I can buy, and 7,500 people a day I can buy.
That's fair.
I can buy 7,500 people.
Okay,
the NFL draft numbers I can't buy,
now,
but I can buy 7,500 people
wait
a
a minute.
day. Well, yeah.
You're in agreement with me on this?
I don't think Nashville, Tennessee had 800,000 people.
People will throw you down a flight of stairs.
Come on.
Well, they make it more and more preposterous every year. What did they say for Detroit? 1 million?
Give me a break. I don't think that happened. I think they're taking every single person in a hotel in Nashville, Tennessee for that weekend, whereas there are umpteen different bachelorette parties that are going on that have nothing to do with the NFL draft, and I'm sure that's where they got their data.
But at any rate, Derek, here are the stories of the NFL Combine this year in 2025. 25,000 guys walking around in all-team sweatsuits that you've never seen before, carrying a Starbucks cup and going, "Hey, coach, you good? You good? You good, coach? Okay, good. Yeah, good." But then this is a kind of when I say dud year draft, I don't mean that there's not good players, but there are not like the star power up top blue chip players. I think Shadir Sanders, Deion Sanders' son. There are mixed reports. I mean, some people are like, boy, he was awfully arrogant in his team meetings. He's Deion Sanders' son. I mean, he's grown up pretty privileged, and he's an elite level athlete. I mean, what more do you that's just the reality. And then obviously Cam Ward, the quarterback coming out of Miami, there are a lot that say that he might be the best quarterback in this draft, but he would not have been a top first or second round pick in most years' drafts. We'll see how that works out. And then you had a couple of injuries in terms of defensive players that are going to be thought to be within the top 5. For the Colts themselves, they are drafting 14. It looks like, they are going to get one of the two, if they so choose, elite-level tight ends that are available in this draft. But, Derek, it's possible, and I understand this, and this is what I keep saying, and I'll go over it again, and you tell me if this makes sense.
Okay.
Let's say that the Colts they know they're going to draft at 14. They don't trade out of that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If they have Tyler Warren, and let's say they have him scored at a 9.2, and then the tight end out of Michigan, his name escapes me, my apologies, but he's thought to be the second best tight end in the draft. Let's say they have him scored at an 8.9, okay? And then at the cornerback position, or any defensive back, safety, corner, if the best that they have at that position is a 9.0, but the second best player that they have selected at available that would be in round 2 for them is a 7.8, then you probably draft defensive back first because the drop-off is bigger from first to second round at that position. Whereas you can go, so you take that, and then at the second round you take a tight end, and you're getting one that's pretty close to what you would have gotten in round 1. Whereas if you flip that and you go tight end up first, now you have a big drop-off for defensive back. You get the combo of two better players with taking the defensive player first. I could see the Colts going that route.
Yeah, I could see them going in a lot of different directions. I could see them not taking a defensive back or a tight end with their first pick.
What would they take?
BPA. Best player available. I don't think they would take a receiver, but I do think if there was an edge available or something like that or another linebacker, I think they would go ahead and do that. I said no defensive back. A lot of people are focused on corner. They need a safety. That would help too. But whether it's Warren or Loveland or any of these guys, at the top, I think they need to. They have a lot of needs that they're going to have to fill, especially if they're going. You don't want to talk about skeptical. I'm skeptical that the Colts are going to drastically change their approach to free agency, and if they're not going to do that, then they need to hit on this draft class big time because they have a lot of holes to fill.
Now you're excited for the fact that they could possibly draft. I think we know Ryan Kelly is probably. We'll see what happens there, right? Braden Smith on the line. They have some questions on offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
So it's exciting to see who it is that maybe not in first round, but in round 2 or 3, who it is that they are selecting to be able to block for Jacoby Brissett.
Well, that's the other thing. The other domino that is part of this is what the Colts are doing at quarterback, because it feels like a month ago, but we were technically on last week before Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen spoke to the media, and I think I said something like they're not going to tell us anything. But one of the most interesting things that they've ever told us at the Combine was Chris Ballard being adamant about there being a quarterback competition. So
here's the thing, Derek. Is there? You can tell me, hey, we're creating a quarterback competition, and so we're going to go out and get Jacoby Brissett. Is that really a quarterback competition?
here's the reason why I believe it. And I hadn't really considered this until I consume a lot of Colts content because I like to sort of hear what other people have to say, even if I disagree. But I think Joel A. Erickson and Nate Atkins were talking about this. I think there are a lot of people like this is clearly a make or break season for Richardson. And I have been in the camp for a while that it's a make or break season for Chris Ballard, even though we've had several make or break seasons, which it's never really broken. What if hypothetically, let's say it's Daniel Jones, because I don't think it's going to be Brissett.
Right.
Let's say it's
Fair.
Daniel Jones.
Fair.
Okay, they make an investment there, and Daniel Jones beats out Richardson. And at that point, you're just like, all right, we're moving on from Anthony Richardson here. And Jones has a Gardner Minshew-like season. I know they're drastically different players, but just kind of play along with the hypothetical scenario. They're 9-8, or they're even 10-7. They make the playoffs. They lose in the first round, but they make the playoffs. They go to wild card weekend for the first time in a while. You gas Ballard after that? You're moving on from Richardson probably at that point, right? If by year 3 he hasn't nailed down the starting job, then you need to move on.
Would.
But are you
now,
would I.
Are you asking am I or the Colts?
Look, I'm asking both. Because I think you and I are in the same camp. Like, you cannot allow Chris Ballard to make another quarterback choice, period. That's just where I am. You can't let him make another quarterback choice after this. If Richardson fails, he's got to go too. That is my opinion. But the only person that matters is the decision maker, and that's Jim Irsay. And he might not feel that way.
I believe in that scenario, would. If Anthony Richardson does not pan out now, Chris Ballard goes with him. That would be my thought. But I don't think the Colts will feel that way.
I mean, what if you even have a Darnold or a Mayfield-like situation with Fields or Jones or a veteran that you bring in, and suddenly you catch lightning in a bottle, and they have a really good season?
Well, then that's different. If it looks like they are...
And Richardson still busts, though. Richardson still busts. So you bring Ballard back after that?
Yeah, I mean, if they get into the playoffs, it's going to be tough to jettison him. Right?
To me, if
it feels to me, Derek,
Richardson is the last bet that he was allowed to make, and if that's a losing bet, then you have to walk away from the table.
I don't disagree with you in principle, but I'm talking about the way I think Jim Ballard.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm just presenting that scenario because it's not something that I considered before hearing it.
Well, it's kind of like if Indiana rips off 4 wins in a row here. Does Mike Woodson get? But here's the other thing. The combine to me, and I was surprised by this, the combine to me felt like the first time that we were getting hint and indication, and the seed was being planted by the Colts brass that we should prepare ourselves for the fact that they are moving on from the Anthony Richardson experiment.
Yeah.
Not that they've made that decision just yet, but it's in queue. You know when you shuffle music on your iPod and you can look and you can see down below like what's next? They've now presented on the screen at the bottom what's next.
Yeah,
we've moved on from Anthony.
They are preparing for this to be a failure. That's why they're saying all these things, and that's why they're doing all these things. But what I want to know is what to them is competition, because a lot of people don't view Fields, Jones, certainly not Brissett, or some of these other guys that have been talked about, Trey Lance, some of these other guys that have been talked about at the position as true competition. What I'm interested in is do you take a day 2 pick and draft a quarterback? Because to me, that's a competition. Like if I'm Will Howard, and I get drafted, I'm coming in to be QB1.
Quinn Ewers?
Yeah, I mean I'm coming in to be Jalen Milroe. I'm coming in to be the guy. That is my expectation. You could say, well, Sam Ehlinger didn't think that. I mean, he didn't come in here thinking that
Sam
he was going to be the guy.
Ehlinger's still stunned he's here.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I think that is the wow. That'll tell us a lot about how they feel about Richardson. I don't think they're going to do that. But if they drafted a quarterback, I think that would be the, oh boy, they're really, really concerned about where they're at with him.
By the way, is this the week that we're at the 5-year anniversary of when the world stopped?
No, that is a little bit later in March.
Because it was during the Big Ten tournament, right?
Yes. Tested positive.
Yeah, Rudy
for
Gobert was
COVID.
the.
That
I'm going to guess March.
on
I'll say the 14th.
March 11th.
So we're getting close, right?
League's NBA suspended play completely on March 11th when Rudy Gobert tested positive. The IU-Nebraska game was that night.
Yep.
They played that game. bagged the tournament the next day. Big East tournament had a noon game because I remember
They played
I had
one, right?
Yeah, I had frozen corn. I had my vas deferens. The ends of my vas deferens were burned, so I wouldn't produce viable sperm anymore. And I had frozen peas on my testicles, and that area. That afternoon, St. John's played Creighton in a Big East tournament game, and they got to halftime, and then they called that off, and then because I had a vasectomy performed that night that Rudy Gobert tested positive, because I was under the impression that I'm just going to watch basketball all weekend while I heal up.
Is it possible, or is it fair to say, though, that you might have had the final vasectomy of 2020?
I might have, yeah. I think there was somebody behind me. I think his name was Dennis. We talked in the waiting room. Whatever happened to Dennis? But yeah, I had the they cut you open and then they singe the end of the tubes, the vas deferens that connect the testes and no more viable sperm after that, and then tried to watch some basketball and wasn't able to. Okay. Again, Jake, I wish you could be an adult about this and not be so immature on the show, because this is a show for guys. Sports, sometimes politics as they affect sports. We don't have a lot of time to go down that road, but male issues as well that we discuss on the show. Lots of people that are watching right now have had a vasectomy. It's I understand, very common procedure.
But like scrotum and scissors, not a winning combo.
I am explaining what happened, because some people might be like, what is a vasectomy? Or how is it done? How is it performed? And I'm just kind of laying out how that was performed, because you're conscious the whole time. Now they really numb you up. And they put some sort of salve on it. I don't really remember. Some sort of a numbing agent. And then I remember getting a needle, an injection right before they sliced everything. And then I remember the smell of the burning of my vas deferens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Okay. You want to? Let's talk just quickly, because the three that were talked about in the report, and I don't remember who even gave this report now, one of the NFL guys, not Jordan Schultz. He was the Starbucks fight guy.
Who did he get in the fight with?
Rappaport.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I was just at that Starbucks.
Which one was it?
It was the one, I think it was the one in the Marriott.
Okay.
I think one of the reports was the one at the JW, but I think it was actually the one in the Marriott.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong. My sources didn't say anything about what that was.
No fists, so right?
No, just screaming and I'm better than you or whatever. Daniel Jones, Justin Fields, Trey Lance were the three that we're talking about.
Trey Lance is the one. I mean, how long has he been around?
Yeah. I think he was he the 2019 or no, he was the 2021 group, I think. But 5 NFL starts and 143 passes.
Justin Fields is a guy that Chris Ballard was very high on coming out of the draft. I will tell you that.
He turns 26 this week, so he's still young, has to prove himself as a passer. For all his faults, Daniel Jones is a 65% passer. He's a big-time threat with his legs. He's going to cost you. So is Fields. I heard that Fields might actually go back to the Steelers, which would surprise me. If I'm Fields, I want to go somewhere and get paid.
Dumb question. So Jones is clearly a free agent.
Yeah.
Is Fields?
Yes. But I heard that he was going to think about returning to Pittsburgh.
Well, Russell Wilson's on his last leg, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe you feel like, he would be the guy. I mean, out of those, my preference would be Fields, because I think he's the best one of the bunch.
I would. Fields to me seems like he still has the most intrigue. Like, you kind of have an idea who Daniel Jones is at this point, right?
Daniel Jones is a lesser version of Carson Wentz to me.
Yes, that's a very fair statement.
I think Wentz has more high-end traits than Jones does.
Carson Wentz, where did I see he's going to end up?
He was just the backup in Kansas City. Was there a report about him?
Yes, he is rumored to be, gosh darn it.
Let me look it up. Carson Wentz.
Somebody was going to bring him in as a veteran backup. Was it
Cleveland?
Was it Cleveland?
These two reports I said, Kansas City Chiefs quarterback garnering attention from AFC rival. Oh, Jets eyeing Carson Wentz.
Jets, that's it. Jets.
And 2 other veteran quarterbacks at free agency.
The New York Jets, man. What a mess, right? Yeah. What a mess. I have a music question for you, Derek, but we can do it later.
Okay, that's good, because I'm not really
you're going to say to yourself, you're going to do this. You're going to say, I don't understand why you – and then you're going to stop and you're going to go, that's good, though. And then you're going to end up thinking about it for the rest of the day.
Okay. Well, maybe not. You know what I've been thinking about all day today is my Hoagies and Hops Sando.
And a little dark side of the Munich, by the way.
Yeah, it's back. It's back.
Chili Water Brewing.
ran downstairs to get me some of their Dark Side of the Munich Dunkel Lager from Chili Water Brewing,
Man, that is
42nd
good.
and Boulevard, the tap room right next door to Hoagies and Hops. We'll get to the beer here in just a second.
You can taste just a slight hop in the end of that, but it is good.
But first, here is the best roast beef sandwich that you'll ever have in your life, the Keystone. So you have London broil, so even more delicious roast beef here. You got a little Prove, you got a little L, a little T, a little O.
Lettuce, tomato, onion.
You know what else you have here? Horsey mayo. I didn't put mayo in yours because you don't like mayo. I'm not usually a mayo guy. I was telling Vince, I'm not usually a Cheese Whiz guy, but the Whiz at Hoagies and Hops, like I'll drink that. I'll approach Christina about this. I was thinking for charity, like we could get one of those dunk takes, but we could fill it with one with Whiz and one with Horsey mayo, and then have people dunk us in it. Because I swear, like I would eat my way out of the
Dirk,
Horsey mayo
you know how much
dunk
it
tank.
costs them to create that much mayo?
How much?
I don't know, but a lot.
Well, with the eggs, right? Egg prices. What is it? $40 a carton right now for eggs?
Yep.
It's ridiculous. I was at Aldi the other day, and we get like we don't get like fresh stuff at Aldi. We get like some of our dry goods there.
I didn't realize how often people are making eggs.
Yeah, and it's just, you walk
Now
up
all
to
of
the
a
case.
sudden,
I think it was $6 for eggs. Like, that's insane to me. Like, they cost, I don't know, $1.50 for like the last 30 years, right? Or cheaper. Yeah, it's just insane. And I get it with bird flu and all of that, but we already got price gouged. So the Keystone, our Hoagie of the week, our hero of the week. I gave it to Indianapolis. We're homers it's Jake's home city. It's become my home city as an adult. But Indy continues to shine every year. I know neither of us are big fans of the Combine, but Indy always proves why the Combine should never leave. I mean, every year we talk about
they have the conversation.
it's
Well, it's going to leave.
It's leaving. It's inevitable. Okay. They're on contract through next year, so we know it'll at least be 2026. I do believe that they will experiment one of these times and go to L.A. or something like that, but I think they'll immediately come back because they'll realize what a terrible mistake that they made.
Medically speaking, because of all the medical aspects and the MRIs and everything that are right here, it would be tough to move it from Indy.
And the tunnels.
The tunnels, you're saying. Okay.
Take you to the hospitals. Okay. So you can go to Methodist or Ashkenazi or whatever. Like, there's all, like, underground tunnels. You know about that?
Well, that's a long tunnel from Lucas Oil to Eskenazi.
Can you get the Ashkenazi from Lucas Oil?
You just said you can't. I don't think you can.
You can get the Methodist. I know for a fact you can get the Methodist.
Can you?
Underground.
Yeah, can you chew up and then you can get back to us?
Really good.
I'm going to drink my Dark Side of the Munich.
Let's talk about it. Yeah, my last name is Schultz, so you know. I like Bier from Munich.
It's very good.
Let's do it.
I already had it. Derek seems unaware of that.
Oh, yeah. And they don't have a lot of the dark beers at Chili Water Brewing. We do a lot of the IPAs.
That doesn't have the richness of the stout, though. It's a little smoother.
Lagers. Yeah, it's a little more like you could drink this on a patio on the first warm day of the year and not feel like you're out of place.
Correct.
That type of beer. But thanks to Alexis and the whole crew at Chili Water Brewing. Thanks to Christina and Donnie, Freddie, the whole crew at Hoagies and Hops as well. 42nd Boulevard Catering, hoagiesandhops.com. Delicious, delicious catering trays that they'll make for you. Just give them a couple of days of advance so they can get through that. Back into hoops. It is March after all, right? And we are excited about a March event
Monday
that Query and Schultz has going on. We'll tell you about that. Also, Hoosiers, Boilers, and where they stand entering the final week of the Big Ten season. We'll have that for you when we come back. It's Query and Schultz presented by Bailey & Wood Financial Group here on the ISC Sports Network.
Hey, which games are we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back, Query and Schultz, presented by Bailey & Wood Financial Group here on the ISC Sports Network. Alongside Jay Query, I'm Derek Schultz. Thanks to our friends at Bailey & Wood Financial Group. 855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com. 5-star customer service from Mike Wood, Bailey, and the rest of the team at Bailey and Wood Financial Group. They have the beautiful new headquarters down on the south side. And whether you're looking to refinance or maybe get pre-approval for your home mortgage, it's almost home buying season again, right? Spring is about to sprung or springing.
Seen a lot of houses for sale there.
BAWFG.com, 855-350-HOME, the proud presenting sponsors of this show. But we wanted to tell you about
Can you do this
Monday. Yep.
with your hand?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not certain that you can.
Okay, let me try it.
Okay. This is a good test of hand size with our Horizon League Frisbee.
There we go.
Let me see. Turn it around there.
I got it. You asked me if I could do that, and I said yes.
No, but your whole hand's not. Yeah, you don't have your whole hand in there.
I sure do.
No.
Got my whole hand up in there. Horizon League Monday.
No.
The Barbasol Championships. We will be doing a live
Did you get
edition.
3 cans of Barbasol for that?
Special edition? I hope so.
I'm telling you. Like, I love Barbasol.
Sean Sullivan usually hooks it up. So I bet he did.
I would love a can of nice. I have the warmer. Fits right in perfectly. When I shave, man, Barbasol is the way to go.
I don't have the warmer. I just go for it. I just jump right in. But, yeah, the Barbasol Championships, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Fan Zone over there at Corteva Fieldhouse, and it's going to be a great event. They've got a bar, they've got games, they've got big screens so you can watch the other games as they go on, and the semifinals will be that night. So it'll be a lot of fun over there. And then the men's and women's, of course, going on at the Horizon League tournament, horizonleague.org. We'll get you the full rundown of the Horizon League stuff here in just a second. But first, let's talk about IU maybe off the bubble now.
I think here's the thing.
I mean, they can't mess around here, right?
Derek, I think if they have 2 remaining games tonight, later tonight when you're watching this, at Oregon, right? Mm-hmm. And then at home against Ohio State. I do think they're must-wins because I think if they lose both those, they probably bounce themselves right back out. But as of right now,
I think a
they're
split,
in.
they'll be fine.
If they split, I would agree. But if they split, they've got to beat Ohio State because Ohio State's also on the bubble. So It feels like those are 2 people.
I don't know, but Oregon would be a quad 1 win at Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, that would be big for sure. But imagine a full elevator, and they are the 2 that are trying to squeeze their way on, right?
But you're comparing all the bubble teams together. And I agree that, you add to yourself while taking away from Ohio State. But I really do think that Indiana's in a position now, which I did not think that they would get, where if they split, they'll be fine. I think they would conceivably have to lose out and then probably lose their first Big Ten tournament game or maybe their second Big Ten tournament game for them to be out of the field. Okay. But it can't be looked at in a vacuum, right? You might have a ton of bid stealers come in. I don't know.
Here's what I don't understand. So when they say you're on the bubble and then the bubble burst, if the bubble is over, if you're on the bubble, you're still not in, right? You're on the bubble.
Yeah.
Is the bubble floating on the river that takes you into the tournament? Yeah. Is that why being on the bubble gets you in?
That's how I've always believed it. You're floating along into the field on the bubble. Once it bursts, you fall and you're out.
Okay.
You're dead. That's how I've always viewed it.
So if you're on the bubble, you're in because the bubble is floating itself into the tournament.
You're not in. You're still alive for the tournament. Whereas when the bubble bursts, that means you're no longer alive.
But what I'm saying, so if you're on the bubble on Selection Sunday, then the bubble made its way in, right?
No. It just means you're still alive, and then sometimes your bubble bursts once they don't put you in the tournament.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So sometimes your bubble, you could be on the bubble all the way until Selection Sunday, and then suddenly you're not in the field, and you're like, damn, I guess our bubble burst. But sometimes you could lose Wednesday of the Big Ten tournament,
the bubble,
and
the bubble's
you're done.
The vehicle that you're riding. You're floating on it.
That's
right?
how I view it.
Okay.
That's how I've always viewed it. But the metrics are getting better for Indiana. They've crept up to 47 in KenPom. They're 55th in net. I think they're 4-11 against Quad 1. And one thing that helps IU is that they don't have any bad losses. They don't have I know they got run off the floor by Illinois and stuff, and run off the floor by Iowa. Losing at Iowa is a Quad 1 loss. That's technically not a bad loss, even though Iowa stinks, right? And they just look they look like they're playing relaxed, and it reminds me a lot of 06. What happened with the Mike Davis situation?
Do me a favor. Pull up right now. Pull up because I actually do believe this. Joe Lenardi's bracketology is usually. He might be a little bit off on the seeding, but he's got a pretty darn good record of knowing.
I think he has somebody that feeds him stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, he has a pretty good idea of what teams are in and what teams are out, okay? So I'm going to read for you
I've got it right
Indiana's-
here.
What's that?
I've got it. What Lenardi has.
You had the
right here.
bracketology. I realize.
Yep.
I'm going to read for you Indiana's losses, and I want you to tell me
Okay.
if they are teams that are in or out of the tournament. Okay? These are teams. So we're going to see how many losses Indiana has to teams that are not tentatively listed as making the NCAA tournament. Because that would be, I know you can get into quad 1, quad 2. A lot of people, myself included, get confused by what all of that means. Teams that beat Indiana that may not make the tournament. Okay, we're going to begin with Louisville.
Louisville's in the field.
Gonzaga.
Gonzaga, as of right now, is in the field. 9 seed.
Nebraska.
Nebraska's barely in, but they're in.
Iowa.
Iowa's not in.
Illinois.
Illinois is in.
Northwestern.
Northwestern is not in.
Maryland.
Maryland's in.
Purdue.
Purdue's in.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin's in.
Michigan.
Michigan's in.
UCLA.
UCLA's in.
So right now, there are two losses that are a little bit egregious would be Iowa and Northwestern.
But still, they were both on the road and both technically quad 1 games
Right.
because those teams are in the top 75.
Now, the other way to look at that would be teams that they beat that are in the tournament. Let me give you a
They
couple.
don't have
here.
a lot of those.
Is South Carolina in?
I don't think so. I think South Carolina has a losing record, don't they?
Providence?
No, Providence stinks.
Miami of Ohio?
I don't see them.
Minnesota?
No, Minnesota's not in.
Winthrop?
Winthrop is not in.
USC?
USC is not in.
Okay, they've got a couple good ones here, though. Purdue and obviously Michigan State.
Yeah.
So they're going to have like a 2-2 record
Yeah,
against
there
teams
are
in the
other
tournament.
two quad 1 wins, I think, are Penn State because they beat them on the road.
But Penn State's not a tournament team, right?
And at Ohio State, I think is the other quad
Ohio
1 win.
State's and they're
Barely, yeah. Ohio State is where Indiana is. They're among the last 4 in, according to Lenardi.
Derek, if you're in your car and you're driving along, I'm going to give you 2 songs. I want you to tell me which one has a stronger 3.5-minute close.
Oh my God, this hasn't been updated since February 28th.
Yeah, what's he doing?
Like,
man?
what is this dude doing? How is that possible? This hasn't been updated since Friday? It's Tuesday. We're taping this right now. That's embarrassing.
Come on, Joe.
I mean, you would expect a Monday update for bracketology, right? After the weekend
Correct,
games?
yes, yes.
Give me a break. Wow.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Which of these 2 songs has a stronger 3.5-minute close?
Okay.
Hey Jude. Layla. Which one more do you turn up in your car for 3.5 minutes and just go with it?
I mean, I love Layla with the piano and the whatever that thing is that they're playing at the end. That's like the slide thing or
Right.
whatever that is.
That's one of the Allman Brothers, right?
Yeah.
That showed up and just started playing in the background and clapped and recorded it. Or Hey Jude, na 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 na.
And it just gets a little.
na.
Yeah, but the thing is, Layla is a bunch of separate songs.
Hey Jude.
Hey Jude is the same song throughout.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think artistically, no offense to the Beatles, who are amazing, right? I think Layla is one of the most unique songs.
I don't disagree,
of all time.
but which one do you?
I mean, it depends on what kind of mood I'm in. It's a little weird to crank up a piano in the car.
Okay, how about this? Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, I mean, like the Wayne's World part where they're all
Yeah.
headbanging at the end. Yeah, they're all great. I mean, they're all-time classics. What made you think of that? The movie question
Yes.
that you had on Twitter?
You liked my movie question.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, it was good. Because a lot of people are like, well,
Okay.
Danger Zone. And I'm like, well, obviously they wrote that for the movie.
The movie question that I asked is what of any song that's been used in a movie that was not written for the movie. So in other words, where a movie writer just said, I'm going to put this song in here. Of those selections, what song is the most synonymous with a movie scene? Bohemian Rhapsody is very high on the list for Wayne's World, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Old Time Rock and Roll for Risky Business.
Because of the
slide.
Tom Cruise in his underwear. Yeah. That's way up there.
For that matter, In the Air Tonight for Risky Business.
Yeah.
Or for The Hangover.
Yeah.
Moving in Stereo when Phoebe Cates rips off her top.
Ooh, Stuck in the Middle. And I
That's
didn't
a
like
big one.
Reservoir Dogs. I didn't get it.
No. Stuck in the Middle with you is
Stuck in the
very,
Middle
that got
one
a
is
lot of
great
votes.
one. Yeah. Yeah.
when he's
sadistic. Yeah, it's a little weird.
Stephen Wright plays the disc jockey in that, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I thought that was I thought it was a great question. You rarely have good questions on there. Let's get back to college basketball, though. Purdue also got a big win.
Yeah.
And it looked a little dicey.
They needed
there.
that against UCLA, right?
Yeah, went on a 12-0 run on Friday night to snap a 4-game losing skid. I don't know. If you were voting for Big Ten Player of the Year today, would it be Kaufman-Wren instead of Braden Smith?
I still think it's Braden
I mean,
Smith.
Tanji from Wisconsin. I mean, I don't even know who else would be considered.
I think Braden Smith more dictates what's going on, but Kaufman-Wren's a great player. No, I mean, the problem for Purdue is we talked about, Derek, they have two really good players, but they just have not gotten enough elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, like when you're looking at Player of the Year, and I don't know how much people really care about this, but like somebody like Danny Wolf, I just don't think, Michigan's kind of fallen off here, but Wisconsin's fallen off a little. I think Maryland's the new soup of the day, right, for the Big Ten, where you're like, whoa, I would not want to play Maryland right now. Right. But this Big Ten tournament's wide open. I mean, if I were to tell you that Illinois won the Big Ten tournament, would that be outlandish to just say? They just blew out Michigan and Iowa, and they're talented enough to win it. I think there are six or – hell, things would have to really break the right way. I think Indiana could win the Big – I'm dead serious.
Totally agree.
I'm dead serious.
Totally agree.
I don't think they will.
If Indiana wins the Big Ten tournament, gets themselves out of the play-in game, obviously, right?
Well, yeah, at that point, they'd be probably a 7 or 8 seed.
Well, they'd be an automatic seed, so they wouldn't be playing the play-in game. But if Indiana wins the Big Ten tournament, because I'm trying to think, the play-in game is strictly at-larges, right?
Because they have a 16 play-in game as well, besides just the 11s.
Right. But either way, if Indiana were to win the Big Ten tournament, and let's say they become a 9 seed, 10 seed, and then they get hot and they go to the Elite Eight, do they come back and go, Mike Woodson's decided not to retire?
I don't know. So much about Indiana basketball has been, it's a lot like the Colts. Well, what if they do this? And they never do that, so it's not even worth wasting the time on talking about it.
I don't think, sorry, I have London Boyle in my mouth. I don't think they would reverse direction because they will learn from Mike Davis. Mike Davis did a heck of a job, and I think the world of what he did at Indiana. But after the fact, there are people that are like, man, even though he went to the Final Four, they should have made a change.
Yeah, Woodson, it's over, and there's no undoing it, right? And it's the right decision to move on for all parties. I think even for Woodson, it's the right decision to just kind of move on to retirement or whatever else is next for him. But I do think that if they make the tournament, I do think that his tenure will age better than you remembered in the moment.
Right.
Especially if the next coach fails, which might happen.
Who's it going to be?
I don't know.
Who's your guess?
I don't know. I really don't.
Who's your gut?
I don't have a gut. I have no idea what they're going to do. I
see yourself in a singlet?
I have no idea what they're going to do. I really don't know. I would like it to be the Iowa State guy. I think he has the most upside. Okay. And I went back and, his teams have gotten a lot better offensively as well. Yeah, that would be my pick if I had a magic wand that I could wave and pick anybody. We come back on the show. The Pacers desperately trying to fight for home court here as we're reaching the home stretch of the NBA season. We've got quick hits to get to. And what did you think of Fox's debut on IndyCar? We'll talk about that as well. It's Corey and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network. Welcome back. Bailey and Wood presents Corey and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network. I want to talk some Pacers. Actually sat down, and this just rarely happens just because, life gets in the way, I guess. Obviously I routinely watch the Pacers, right? But I rarely, sit down at 6:59 p.m. and watch until 9:20 p.m.
Know this. Our hero here to our left, my left, your right,
you're going to
as
say
you're watching
something
on television.
insulting to me, so I'm just going to eat my sandwich.
Our hero who routinely talks about how we're quote-unquote best friends, not accurate. How we hang out outside of work, very rarely. How only one of the two of us invited the other to a landmark milestone birthday. I
had the idea to put that on.
Probably the only reason you were invited. because I didn't get an invitation to yours. But I digress. In the last 6 weeks, not once, not twice, but thrice. It's 3 times to me and you. I have placed a phone call and or a text to the bearded wonder to my left and said, hey, there is an open ticket of availability. As a matter of fact, one time I even said there are 2 open tickets for availability. If you and your son would like to attend tonight's game to watch the Pacers of Indiana's, the NBA team locally, then you will not have to pay a dime. There's also parking that's covered if you would like to come to the game. Not once, not twice, 3 times a lady. All 3 times, Mr. I like to hang out with my best friend has found a reason and or excuse to not attend. And guess what happens in baseball? 1, 2, 3, you're out. You're off the list, Eric. You're out.
I have a very difficult schedule because my wife works overnights, and I also have a human son that I have to take care of. So when you ask me on nights that Ash is working and I have James and he's 8, I can't just leave him by himself, nor can I get a babysitter who's like on call,
Parents
who
live
can
here.
come over. Yeah, they're in Carmel. My dad does not drive at night.
You got a
anymore.
sister that lives here, right?
My dad goes to sleep at like 6:30,
Got a
and he
guy-
might be watching the show.
People across the street, neighbors?
My sister lives in Fairmont, which is like a good 90 minutes away.
Neighbors?
We use our neighbors, the Walters, a lot, and I only want to lean
TJ
on
lives
them
locally,
in an
right?
emergency situation. He lives down by Mass
What
Ave.
about all those people that came to your 40th birthday party?
I will eventually take you up on that offer, and I appreciate it.
well.
And thank you for admitting that we're great friends, because you have given me multiple offers this year
I'd like the record to state. You
for a
just
Pacers
said,
game.
I will eventually.
Yeah.
Apparently you missed the first part of this conversation.
No, I didn't miss anything.
For it's once,
You will ask me again.
twice,
You will ask me again.
3 times,
Okay.
no maybe.
Please don't sing on the show. Pacers held off the Bulls. I watched the full game on Sunday night. 34-25. Entering today, we're taping this on Tuesday, early Tuesday morning. They are in a tie for 4th with Milwaukee. They're 2 games up in the loss column on Detroit, who's really hard charging here. Good news is they're 6 full games out of the play-in. So I think you feel pretty good about the fact that the Pacers are going to play in a series. But I think you really want to get home court. And I understand, Boston, there's some talk about, do you want to avoid Boston? To me, I'm not worried about Boston. Whatever. You cross that bridge. No, I don't mean it like that. I mean, cross that bridge when you
Cleveland
get there.
or
Yeah, but cross that bridge when you get there. I would like to see the Pacers get home court in a series and win a first-round series, and then we can start talking about the other things. I'm not forecasting out here. I don't think the Pacers are good enough to forecast. They're good. I don't think they're good enough to forecast out, because I don't think it's a guarantee that they win a first-round series.
Fair. That's fair.
But I want them to put them in the best position to take step 1. And once you're in that best position, then you take step 2. I'm not worried about being in the best position for step 2 if step 2 never happens.
2 things, Derek. Number 1, in the Bulls game, Tyrese Halliburton was brilliant. He now has 69 assists and 6 turnovers since the All-Star break. He has rejuvenated since the All-Star break, unlike a year ago where the All-Star break seemed to be like the ceiling for him. One of the things that he did in that game against Chicago, not only did he dictate what happened in that game, and he got Aaron Nesmith involved, and Nesmith was also fabulous in that game. Tyrese Halliburton also got in the head of Josh Giddey and started chatting with him, and they had kind of a which is going to be the bigger star in this game thing going on. And Giddey for Chicago became a black hole when the ball came to him. He was too tunnel visioned, and it took away anything Chicago had. Kobe White was off to a good start. The Bulls had no offensive flow whatsoever, and advantage Indiana, Pacers win. It was a very savvy game from Tyrese Halliburton. Number 2, Jarris Walker's a guy that we've had concerns about because he's fallen out of rotation. But in talking to the Pacers, I can tell you they are big believers still in Jarris Walker, and that's why he's gone to the G League on assignment, because they want to just basically they don't want dust to settle in, because he's been playing and showing progress, and then just due to guys getting healthy, he was out of rotation, and it was tough to find minutes for him. So they wanted to get him up into the G League or down to the G League to get minutes in rotation. Johnny Furphy's there with him as well, but do not read into that of them punting on either of those guys.
Yeah, no, I just think they're probably having to be a little more patient with Jarris Walker than they thought. Like I don't necessarily think that it's there isn't a lot of room for minutes. Like, all of that is true. But if Jarris Walker was good enough to get minutes right now, he'd be getting them. They would find a way to get
that's
him.
fair.
Yeah.
But he shows signs.
So it's both things. Like, I'm kind of like criticizing and defending Jarris Walker. I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth here. But I agree with you. I don't think the Pacers are giving up on him at all. But he's out of the rotation. So the best way for him to get more run and more spin is to go down to go up to Fort Wayne.
Are you going to come to my party?
Your PBR party?
Yeah.
I think so.
March 15th.
I know. I have to bring James.
That's
Ash's
fine.
work.
It's at Union Jack.
I know. It's like a family. Yeah. Like,
They're going to have the Indy 11 game on. They're going to be giving away tickets, and then PBR's on board because I've said forever I was going to throw a PBR party.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. I mean,
it's just a chance to hang out.
Part of the reason that I want to go to is just for optics because I'm concerned there'll be low turnout. So I want to make sure that I'm there and bring somebody else. So there are 2 additional people that are there, which might, double the crowd. But yeah, I tentatively, yes.
It'd be fun, right?
Party. Yeah, it'll be great.
Union Jack's great. It's in Broderpool, March 15th, which is, I believe, a Friday, right?
It's been a minute since we just kind of hung out like that.
No,
it's been a minute.
The 15th is a Saturday, right?
I have no idea. What's today? Today's the 4th?
So the 3rd is a Monday. So yeah,
today's the
Saturday.
4th, yeah.
Saturday the 15th. So it's the Saturday before St. Patrick's Day.
Cool.
What better thing to do? Come out, watch Indy 11, watch soccer, Union Jack.
It's Selection Sunday the next day, right?
PBR, baby.
Yeah.
PBR is going to be there. Yeah. They're launching a new line.
So some of the ACC Championship will be that night.
Yeah. There'll be a ton going on.
Yeah, so it'll be Big East Championship, I think, will be that night as well.
Starting at around 6 o'clock. Actually, as early as 4, but around 6 is when things get underway. PBR party on the 15th, Union Jack Broderpool.
Parting thought on the Pacers. Slumping Rockets tonight, who are good, but they're not playing that great right now.
And they played late last night in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, and lost. At the Hawks twice, then at the Bulls. So they got a chance here. I mean, the Hawks are very beatable. The Bulls, obviously, they just defeated. But then you've got a stretch that has a home-and-home with Milwaukee and games against the Thunder, Laker, and Timberwolves.
The Milwaukee game is tough, though, because both nights you're going the second night of a back-to-back.
Yeah, a lot of Sega Bob-Obs in there. But if you could build a little bit of a cushion over these next couple of games, then you have to be less concerned with where the Sega Bob-Obs fall.
I knew you were going to throw out that.
Where the Sega Bob-Obs fall.
Yeah, that's
shop.horizonleague.org. The team gear is up right now in advance of the Horizon League Championships coming up here on March 10th and March 11th, Monday and Tuesday at the Corteva Coliseum, Indiana State Fairgrounds. You can check that out right now. One-of-a-kind T-shirts. Are you knocking stuff over?
Yep.
Did you break a bobblehead again? You've broken a bobblehead a bunch of times.
I might have just decapitated. Well, let me check.
So you can check that out online right now, shop.horizonleague.org. If you're looking for tickets, visit Horizon League.
You know how we know this wasn't the Jermaine O'Neal bobblehead? It didn't break.
HorizonLeague.com/Indy for tickets. And Jake and I are going to be hanging out there for Monday's show, 4 to 6 p.m., a special edition in addition to Tuesday's regular show next week. So we'll do 2 shows next week, and it'll be a lot of fun. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships, and we appreciate Julie Rolash and Sean Sullivan and the rest of the crew over there at the HL for always being such great supporters of this show. I was going to mention, let's do that. Let's do the Fox on IndyCar. I would say, what did you think? You were on the radio broadcast, right?
I was.
But from what you heard, how do you feel like it went? And obviously you keep up with Kevin and a lot of the broadcasters that were implemented into the Fox IndyCar.
I watched some of the practice sessions and thought it looked really good. I thought I had a little bit of – concern is the wrong word. I was curious. Knowing Will Buxton and having been around him a little bit, he's a very high-energy guy, and I was curious how that was going to come off. I was happy to see that he was able to taper that, and I thought he was outstanding. I thought he did a really good job, really good delivery. You know what you're getting out of Hinch and obviously Townsend Bell, and then in the pits, I didn't get a chance to see Jack Harvey. I love Jack Harvey. Didn't get a chance to see him because I was doing the race itself. But I thought optically, because I could see the way that they – I was watching the television backhaul coordinates, TV term, sorry, but optically it looked great. I mean, the camera.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought the somebody sent me a screen grab of and I don't know if it's because they didn't have it, but the kind of cartoon character for the faces, the animated faces, illustrated faces, as opposed to just showing the driver's face was a little weird. But outside of that, from everything I heard, it was good.
Yeah, I'm just glad. At the end of the day, we could talk about the graphics or some of the, Jack being a work in progress a little bit for his first time. at the end of the day, Fox is excited about the product, and IndyCar needs partners that are excited.
Right.
Like it's not really about all this other stuff that we talk about. You know, the biggest, the foundational piece that IndyCar needs. Like, why is the Hy-Vee sponsorship worked? It's because they're excited. Like
they just backed out.
I know,
yes.
but why did that work? Because they were excited about it, right? Fox will work if they're excited. Like I just think too long in IndyCar, and I'm going back years. I'm going back to defunct sponsors and defunct channels versus,
right.
You know what I mean? All that stuff. It just felt like IndyCar was just kind of there, like, they're over there in the corner or whatever. Who really cares? We're not really like investing in this.
Having it lead into NASCAR's big also.
Yeah.
You're hoping to get early tune in and people
Sure.
say, oh, this is cool. You know?
I still think, and this is, I don't know, maybe dating me, but I still think, and Will Buxton is a tremendous commentator. I still think it's a mistake to have somebody with a foreign accent on an IndyCar race be played. I think it's a mistake. And Lee Diffie is amazing and a wonderful guy. If I'm in Trumbull, Connecticut, and I stumble upon an IndyCar race and it's in St. Pete and it's a road race and the leaders are, Rossi and Joseph with an F. Newgarden, I think they're in Milan. I have no freaking idea that it's an American
that's fair. I think that's
racing
very
series
fair.
Racing on the streets of Florida.
Yeah, I think that's a very
I have
fair
no idea.
statement.
And IndyCar fans will buck against that. But what are you talking about? Buxton's amazing. I'm not saying that they're not amazing. I'm just saying my opinion has always been there should be an American lead on those television broadcasts because the casual viewers just immediately assume that it's some European racing series.
Right. I think that's a very astute comment, yes. No argument.
I don't want people on track. Is track form still a thing? I don't want people to get mad. People get mad at me about that. Congratulations, Alex Palou. Dude's just incredible.
He is good.
He's unbelievable. And how about that podium, right? Where you have Dixon and Newgarden and Palou. I mean, you have three giants of the sport on your opening
Top
race.
Top four are Penske's and Ganassi.
In the Fox debut, I mean, I think it went about as well as you could have it go. Quick hits when we come back. Bite or Bull Bleep when we come back for a final time here on Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Which games are we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in, it's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgages in a snap! Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Back for a final time. Bailey Wood presents Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. We'll go really quick through the quick hits here. Do you see the news about Mason Alexander? Really sad. The Hamilton Southeastern star now at Pitt.
I knew, being somebody who grew up on the north side and have friends who know parents that are, of the kids involved. He's a young man, did not know him from Hamilton Southeastern.
Yeah.
That had gone to Pitt early, graduated in January so he could early enroll in Pitt, and was a promising young football player and was the passenger in a car driven by a classmate and was fatally injured. So
just horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had his whole life in front of him. I think he actually spoke to the media like 3 days ago because it was the intro to spring practice and, you're just gutted, you're hated. Anytime the TV now, and I'm sure you're aware of this too, like it scrolls across and then you see like 2006 to 2025, and you're like, 2006. I mean, it's one thing to say, he was 18 or 19 years old, but then when you see the years, it just really starts to hit home that, so our thoughts and prayers with obviously his family and everybody close to him, the HSC community, the Pitt community, just a terrible, terrible thing. Probably not appropriate. I'll save it for next week. There was another story about a whale nearly swallowing a person in Chile, but I'll go ahead and leave that for next week. Chateau Kitchens Bite or Bull Bleep, brought to you by our friends at Chateau Kitchens, at Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Facebook, chateaukitchens.com for your in-home transformation. Steven and the rest of his crew are tremendous and will do wonderful, wonderful work in transforming your home. That's what they're in the business of doing. They've transformed my home, and they can transform yours, chateaukitchens.com. Here's what we do with Bite or Bull Bleep. I give a statement. Jake and I go back and forth.
Did the guy survive
we
the
buy
whale
it
thing?
or it's Bull Bleep. Yes, he did. You can't actually get swallowed by a whale, but you thought that he got swallowed by a whale. We'll save that story for next week.
Why
Spoiler
can't you
alert.
get swallowed by a whale?
It was a humpback whale.
So that's
not
a
like an
whale.
orca. The throat is not large enough. You would like kill
So
the
he-
whale.
so
Just
he
shut
gagged-
up. We're gonna do this.
so did
We're
he-
gonna do it next week. All
Did he
right.
gag the guy?
We're gonna do it next week. Statement
The
number
guy
1:
gagged him.
the Colts will trade down with their first pick in the draft.
Bull Schultz. They're drafting 14th. They're going to take the best pass rush guy available.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see the reaction for people if they did trade down, because trading down leads you to believe that there's no sense of urgency, even when it's a smart move, right?
Do you know the most unpopular draft pick I've ever seen in the city of Indianapolis, aside from Reggie Miller?
No.
Rick Smits.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I booed.
Who would they? That was a weak draft class,
Stacey
right?
King and Mookie Blaylock would
Okay.
have been the two.
That was a really weak.
Yeah, Danny Manning went number 1 overall. Sean Elliott might have been in that draft.
Like, who was the best player from the 88 class? Did it end up being Manning just by default?
Smits, maybe. We'll see here.
Kemp wasn't in that draft, right?
No, he
would've-
was 89.
Okay. 1988 NBA. Let's look that up. Sorry to offer rail here. I know we only have a couple of minutes, and Vince is like
Derek's
raving.
wheelhouse.
I remember 1988 being a really crappy draft.
It was pretty bad.
Hersey Hawkins, Dan Marley, Rod Strick. Oh my God, this is a really bad draft. Anthony Mason.
Was Sean Elliott in that draft?
Sean Elliott was 89.
Okay.
Oh, Mitch Richmond. Okay, Mitch Richmond would have been clearly the best player in this draft. But Danny Manning, Rick Smits, Charles Smith, Chris
Smith.
Morris, who had trade me on his shoes, right? Chris Morris, wasn't he the guy that wrote that? He was with the Nets?
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Mitch Richmond with the top 5 picks. Hersey Hawkins was an all-star and a good player. Dan Marley had a good career. Rod Strickland had a nice career, and I loved him as a Knick. One of the first Knicks that I really remember. Brian Shaw was in that draft. Vinny Del Negro. So you had some like lifer NBA players that were decent. But
Derek's rabbit hole of draft stuff.
oh, sorry. Yeah, I can't help it. I mean, yeah, anything 80s or 90s NBA draft. I
have one for you, Vladimir Bolschultz.
What?
Indiana and Ohio State will both make the NCAA tournament field.
I'm going to buy it.
Okay.
I'm going to buy that right now. Yeah, with where we sit today.
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and buy that. The Colts will draft a quarterback and not sign one in free agency. Buy or bleed.
Bolschultz, because I think they'll do both.
I don't think they're going to draft one.
Okay.
I'm not writing it off, but I don't think they're going to draft one. So I'm just going to – they're obviously going to add a quarterback. So
Right.
by default, I think they're going to take one in free agency. Thank you to Chateau Kitchens, tremendous sponsor of this show. Bailey & Wood Financial Group, the presenting sponsors of Corey and Schultz, as well as our friends at Hoagies
Monday,
and
we'll
Hops.
see everybody, right?
Yeah, we'll see everybody Monday.
Monday at right across from the Coliseum at the Fairgrounds.
Chili Water Brewing,
Horizon League.
42nd Boulevard, Horizon League. State
Horizon
Fairground,
League Tournament.
Corteva Coliseum, Monday, live show, 4 to 6.
Men's, women's, kicks
And then
off
our
March.
regular show, just like always, 7:30 next
And
week.
buy
on
your
Tuesday.
Barbasol.
Thanks to Vince. Thanks to Charlie. I think Rake's back there somewhere. He's Jake. I'm Derek. Bye. We'll see you next time here on Corey and Schultz.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride